Ready when you are.
Cool. So hello, I'm Molly, and I'm one of the members of the Enterprise GIS team here with Audubon, and I've been working with some of my team members to get these Climate Watch tools updated and ready for the summer survey season. The easiest way to get to the tools is on the Climate Watch website, which I have opened here. And today my goal with this webinar is to connect you with the mapping resources we have available for this awesome citizen science project and to familiarize you with how to use these tools to support your survey work. So I'll be including a brief walkthrough of how to use the Claim a Climate Watch Square tool, the Climate Watch Planner tool, and how to look for your target species in certain survey areas. If you've used the Planner tool in the past, you may notice some updates, and if you're new, don't be overwhelmed. You'll have this recorded and available for you as a resource. So if you slide halfway down the page on the Climate Watch website, you'll find right underneath the resources for coordinators and volunteers, a maps header. And you have a couple options here. You have the Esri Climate Watch Planner link, which is a direct link to the mapping tool. You'll have a link to the instructions, which will shortly be updated because of the updates we've been recently making to the tool. You'll find the login credentials for ArcGIS Online, which won't regularly be requested of you, but in case it does, we wanted to point out that we have them here. Climate Watch is the username and the password is Audubon1. We also have a link to the Claim a Grid Square tool, and there'll also be a link here to the webinar.
And Molly, I'll just point out that we will be updating the Climate Watch website shortly, and all of these should be even easier to find under Coordinator and Participant Resources tabs.
Excellent. So I'm going to use the link right here for the Esri Climate Watch Planner mapping tool to open up the tool. And what you're seeing here is our default home screen that will open every time you open the tool. So I'm going to do a basic overview of the toolbars that we have available from right here on the home screen and how to move around the map. You'll kind of see that on the left side, we have one set of tools, and on the right is the other. I think of the left toolbars as aids in navigation and the right toolbars as a way to engage with the project. So here I'll start on the left side. We have the search bar located here, which you can use to type in street addresses, cities, or states. For example, I'll type in Maryland, and it'll zoom me right to that area of interest. You can also use the zoom in and zoom out buttons. You can also use your mouse cursor to double click to zoom in, or hold the shift button, click down, and draw a diagonal to create a more precise square. Right there. You also have the default extent button, which is this home, and that's in case you ever get lost. It'll take you back to the original extent so you can see the whole United States. And there's a little crosshairs here, which is my location. If you have location enabled on your device, you can use this to find out where you are on the map. Now I'm going to move our attention to the right-hand side of the toolbar and go over some of the widgets that are over here. Just so you know, the term widget really refers to these tools that are within the map tool. So over here we have about a dozen widgets. The first one I'll go over is the legend widget. Every time you click on one of the widgets, a nice window will open up to display the tool. So in the legend, you can see the layers that are currently turned on or active on the map and the icons that are associated with that layer. Right now, the only layer turned on is planned survey sites, and they're displayed by yellow squares for nuthatches and blue circles for bluebirds. Another note about these pop-up windows, if you want to keep the tool opened but minimize it because you want to see your whole map screen, you can just click the full double arrow. Or if you want to close the tool entirely, just click the X. The next widget I'll open up is the layer list. This is where you'll go to check out all the layers available for you to view. You'll notice that some may not be active yet. They may be grayed out, like this Climate Watch Suitability by Species layer. Or they just may not be active because the checkboxes haven't been selected. If you have a grayed out layer that you'd like to view, all you need to do is zoom in a little bit closer on the map to activate it. As you can see, it's changed to black. That's how you know it's turned on, but you may not be able to see it yet because it hasn't been activated by checking the box. Next, I want to point out that these layers actually have these little drop-down arrows next to them. And that means that there's some additional information underneath that may be important for you to know about the layer. For planned survey sites, it's just the icons that are used to display that information. But for other layers, it might be a nested layer, which means there's layers inside of the layers. I'll go down this list of layers and point out which ones are nested for you. So the Claim Climate Watch squares, which I'll activate by checking the box, show up as green squares, and that means it's a claim square. If I click on it, I get a nice pop-up window. It tells me the state ID and the grid ID. And as I scroll down the pop-up, I can see that's been claimed by Sarah for white-breasted nuthatch in winter. I'm going to turn that layer off and then go down to surveyed locations. This is a nested layer, and it's actually a couple nests in this layer. We have it broken by year, so there's survey year for 2016-17, but there's also by season. So if I only wanted to see the ones for summer 2016, I'd make sure I'd turn off 2017 and also winter 2016. All of these just display as little gray circles, and I can see one right up here, which I'll select. It tells me a little bit of information about that site. Surveyed locations are locations that have been previously used in survey years. I'll turn these off for right now. Moving down another step, we have the Climate Watch suitability by species, and this is also a layer that is currently turned off and very nested. This is a really useful layer to use to figure out which grid squares you want to focus on, because it tells you about the habitat loss or gain in that grid square. So right now, I'm going to turn on the Eastern Bluebird layer, and it's both summer and winters turned on right now. So you'll see what jumps up is the grid layer that shows the change in habitat for Eastern Bluebird. I'm going to turn off the winter for right now, but it's drawing underneath the summer, so you didn't see much of a change when I turned that off. You can see that a lot of the squares around here are blue, which means that there's a loss in habitat. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn off the summer and turn on the winter, and you can see quite a difference in the grid. So in the winter, there's actually going to be some gains in habitat in certain areas around here. So it's interesting to look at these changes using the suitability grid to get a sense of where you might want to be surveying. I'm going to turn these off for right now. The last three additional layers are enhancements that we wanted to include for your additional information. One is just the chapter boundaries, which displays as gray polygons. And if you click on them, you can see the name of the chapter and the state that's within. We also have important bird areas, which is categorized by continental, global, and state, which can also be clicked on to learn more information. Actually, this layer, we don't have it turned on for more information because really the most important information is in the colors that you can see. And then we also have federal lands. And federal lands is also color-coded and provided by the National Map of Federal Lands. So moving down our widget list, I'm going to close the layer list for now, and I'm going to open the base map widget. This gives you a couple different backgrounds to choose from. So depending on what you're interested in gaining from looking at the background of your map, you may want to be looking for a good habitat, and so you may want more of an aerial background. Or maybe you're looking for accessibility, and so you want to use more of an open street map. The next three icons on the toolbar, the next three widgets up here, are really the three main ones that we use in Climate Watch. It's the Claim a Climate Watch Square tool, the Add Survey Points, and the 200 meters survey points buffer tool to make sure your survey points are far enough apart from each other. So I'm going to start with the Claim a Climate Watch Square tool. And like I kind of mentioned, This is actually a tool that's outside of the Climate Watch Planner tool, but we include a link here so you can access it easily. When you select the link, it'll open the tool in a new browser window. This is the homepage for the Claim a Climate Watch Square tool. As for your orientation, I'm going to quickly go over the widgets available in the toolbar that's over here on the right or on the left side. And then I'm going to demo how to go about claiming a Climate Watch Square. So the widgets you'll notice over here are somewhat familiar. We have the search bar right here, so you can search for an area of interest. We have the zoom buttons and the home button. And then we have a couple listed down here on the bottom of the toolbar. Right here we have a layers list. This is similar to the layers list that we had in the other tool, but the options you have here are quite a bit different. Here we have species, and then we also have a Climate Watch Square layer at the bottom. I'll talk more about what these represent in a second. We have a base map gallery, so you can pick and choose your base map. For this, I'm going to switch to roads. And then you also have an overview map. In the overview map, you can get a better sense of the greater geography that's around you. You see the dark gray square is the area that you're looking at in your map on your screen, and you get to see the greater extent. As you move, that box will move too. We have a measure tool, which allows you to measure area, distance between points, and create points to get coordinates. Each of these let you pick your unit of measurement and are very simple to use. You just select the one you want. You click a point on the map you want to start your measurement from. You do single clicks to build, and you do a double click to close. Boop, boop. Your measurement will show up in the measure window. Same for line. Do one click to start, double to close. And for coordinates, it gives you a lat long point. This is overwritten every time you click, so make sure that you're copying and pasting those coordinates if you want to save them. The next widget down is the Edit tool. This is the tool that we're going to use to claim a Climate Watch Square. So I'm going to go about claiming one myself to show you how it's done. First, we're going to open up the layers list because we need to turn on the layers that we want to edit. We're going to activate the Climate Watch Squares. And if I expand this, you can see a very light gray square with a hollow middle, and there's a grid that's now been laid across the map. This is the layer that we're going to be editing. Now I'm going to also activate one of the species that I'm interested in claiming a survey square for. I'm going to pick white-breasted nuthatch, and you can see that some squares are showing a color now, and that color depends on if they've been claimed or not. So if you see red, that means it's been claimed for summer and winter. If you see orange, it's just been claimed for summer, blue just for winter, and yellow means inactive, and it could still be claimed again. So I'm from Baltimore, and it would make sense for me to claim a square for around where I live. So I'm going to zoom into my area of interest. It looks like the grids around me, or the squares around me, are available. So I'm going to click on this one and see if it can confirm that for me. When I click on the square, I get this pop-up, and it shows me the grid ID, the state ID, and it also shows that this is definitely an unclaimed square. There's no names attached with the summer or winter season. Perfect. I'm going to claim this square for myself. So I need to turn on the Edit tool to make that happen. Now that the Edit window's popped up over here, I'm going to click on that square one more time. This time, when I click on the square, it actually gives me the options to fill in some information. And how you claim a square is you decide what season you want to be surveying for. You can claim it for both seasons, but I'm just going to claim it for summer. You want to type in your name, and when you're done, you can just click the X on the top to close the window, and you know it's saved when the squares change color. So now when I click on it, it says my name for summer. So now that we've claimed the square, I'm going to close the edit tool for right now and move on to the rest of the widgets on the toolbar. If you go to the details widget, this will actually give you a link to go back to the Climate Watch Planner tool. And I'll use this when I'm done demoing the Claim a Climate Watch Square tool. There's also a share button. So this gives you options to share the map as a link or through different social media platforms. This widget's great because this checkbox right here means the map is using the current extent. So when someone opens this link, if I send it out, it'll open up to this particular area of interest right around Baltimore instead of on the whole United States. An important thing to note, though, is that the widget does not keep layers turned on. So when someone opens up my link, they'll only be able to see the layers that are on as a default. So they won't be able to see this claim square right here. They would have to turn on that layer to be able to see it. The final widget on this toolbar is the print widget. On the print widget, you're able to add a custom title to your print output. And you also get some options for the layout. As you see down here, we have letter and tabloid, and those are the most regular ones that I would be using. When you select print, it adds a link right up here to the window. And when you open that link, it'll be able to be downloaded to your computer or saved for later use. What's really nice about these printouts is they actually come looking very map-like. So you have a scale bar at the bottom, you have a date of print, and you have some additional information about the background map and a nice title at the top. So I'm going to head back to the Climate Watch Planner tool now that we've gone over the Claim a Climate Watch Square. I'm going to do that by using the details page and selecting our link. It's important to note that when you select that link, it's going to open the Climate Watch Planner tool in the same browser you had open. So make sure you're done with the Claim a Climate Watch Square tool before you select that link. So now I'm going to go to the Layers link, and I'm going to turn on the Claim Climate Watch Squares. Then I'm going to use the search tool to go to Baltimore and see if my square showed up. There it is. Next, I'm going to show you how to create a survey point, which is going to be a point within my claim square. Before I do that, I'm going to actually go into my additional options here on the layer list. If you choose the ellipses, you get some nice options like changing the transparency. I want to be able to see what's happening on the background underneath my square. So I'm going to make it a little bit more transparent so I can set better points when I create my survey points. Now I'm going to open up the Add Survey Point widget. You'll notice that we have two template options for creating a planned survey site. You can either do one for a bluebird or for a nuthatch. I'm going to make one for a nuthatch, but before I place it, I'm going to be a little bit closer on my map so I can be a little bit more precise. There's a really nice park right here in the center of my grid square called Druid Hill Park. And I'm going to go in right there because I think there's going to be a lot of nuthatches in there, perhaps. To select the template, you just click on the one you want, and you know it's selected when it shows up in blue. To place the point, you just put your mouse around your map and click wherever you want to place it. Boop. What pops up next is some information that you fill in to describe your point. The first field you have is ID. Since you'll be doing 12 survey points, a lot of people like to use this to number their points 1 through 12. That's optional, but available for you. You also want to put in the year you'll be surveying, the season, which is summer, and in notes, you want to put your name. When you're done, you can press close or exit out the window. And when you click away, you'll notice that the points change to that symbology for a nuthatch. If I click on it again, it'll show me that information has been saved. Now you can select the template again to place a new point. And if you ever make a mistake, it's actually very easy to maneuver these points around. If I decide, oh wait, it was actually over here, you can easily move it with your mouse cursor. If you also end up being click happy and clicking somewhere you shouldn't, you can also quickly delete a point just by clicking the delete button. Great. So once you've created your survey points, you can use the buffer widget to make sure your points are 200 meters apart. So I'm going to close this Add Survey Points widget, and I'm going to activate the 200-meter survey points buffer. So the tool needs to know which points you're looking for, and you're looking for planned survey sites. So make sure that's selected. After you've told the tool which points they're looking for, you need to tell them which ones you want to look specifically at using the Draw tool. Once you select this black square, you click and drag a box across your screen, making sure that you're selecting the points of interest. You'll know that your points have been selected when they change to have these little blue circles around. This doesn't mean that the tool's run yet, it just means that your points have been selected. To actually run the tool, you have to click the Execute button. The output you'll get will be the 200-meter buffers around each of the points, and it will be automatically drawn on your map. When you're done using the tool, you can just select the Clear to clear your buffers. And you also want to make sure you go back to the Input tab, and you want to clear the selection you currently have on your 2 points. To do that, you click this red trash can. I know it looks ominous, but all it does is unselect those points. And you can close the tool by clicking the X at the top of the window. Next tool I want to go over is the Select and Export Information tool. I'm going to zoom out for a quick sec so we can see my points a little bit better. And this tool is really helpful for you to download CSVs that include latitude and longitude information for your points. How it works is you want to select the Select button, and then you also draw a square across your areas of interest to make sure that all your points have been selected that you want to get information on. You know they're selected when you see a little number pop up here. Right now I only have 2 selected, and that makes sense. To run the tool, you check the ellipses button, and while there's a lot of options right here, all you have to do is choose the Export to CSV file. That will automatically download a CSV to your computer that includes all the pop-up information associated with your survey points. If you want to create a new selection or you're done using the widget, you can select the Clear to unselect your points and close by clicking the X at the top. The other widgets that remain on the top of this toolbar are the Measure widget, which is very similar to the Measure widget in the Claim a Climate Watch Square tool. We also have Area, Distance, and Location. A tool that we have here that's different from the last is Directions. This works similar to Google Maps, where you can type in an address for start, an address for end, and get directions. What makes this pretty helpful for Climate Watch is it'll help you make directions between your survey points. So I'm going to move over to some points that I have up here by Valley Stream. And what you can do is you can select a point, you can select your second point, and it'll give you directions right away between those 2 points that you can print out so you can save it for later. If you want to run this tool again, you can clear that, and you have some options for different ways you could run the tool. If you want to pick new points, you can clear the tool completely. The print widget also allows you to create some really nice output maps that you can share as PDFs or in an image format. There's another layout option within this that's called Map Only. And what that gives you is, instead of getting a title bar and a legend and a scale bar, it'll basically just give you an image of your map without any additional information. If you'd like to have that, you can just click Map Only. But otherwise, you'll probably want to use a regular layout. Right now, the tool is being a little slow to open, but it works pretty similarly to the Claim a Climate Watch Square tool. As you can see right now, the default is Map Only, but I think it looks a little bit more professional if you use one of the landscape or portrait weather options. As I said, there's lots of different format options you can choose from. And if you want to get a little advanced, something that I would recommend is making sure that your print quality is pretty high if you want a high-end product. I usually go for 300 for DPI. Once you're done, you can just press print, and it'll generate an output right here in the window. It'll actually allow you to create multiple outputs, and it'll list them all right here. And those outputs will be saved until you close this browser or you refresh this window. So make sure that if you want to keep any of these outputs, you select them and download them to your computer to be shared for later. Once you create a really long list, if you run out of space, you're also able to clear the prints if you need to start fresh. So when you click on it, you get another nice output. The remaining widgets are the share widget, which gives you a link that you can share out. And it also gives you social media outlets to share with. There's also an embedded code, and there's some embedded options for frame size. And there's some link options. Right now, the current map extent is what's going to show when you share your link, but there's some other things that you can play around with to see what's most helpful for you. The final widget is the help widget. Here you'll find some frequently asked questions that are connected with using the Climate Watch Planner tool. Also, when the instructions have been updated, you'll be able to find a link to the Climate Watch Planner tool instruction manual here once it's finalized. That pretty much covers all the tools and functionality available within the Climate Watch Planner tool and Claim a Grid Square tool. At this point, I'll hand things back over to you, Zach.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Molly, for all the updates that you and the team have done to this tool, as well as walking us through it. Jack or Chris, anybody have any questions for us at this time? And again, we're happy to help you guys out at any time. Anyone who's listening to this recording, we're happy to help people out if they have any questions. Just get in touch with the Climate Watch team.
Okay.
All right. If nobody has any questions, we might just thank you all for your time, and please feel free to be in touch. As I said, with the Climate Watch team, you can reach us individually or climatewatch@audubon.org with any questions you have about the program or any of these mapping tools. Thank you again to Molly and Ryan and Doss on the GIS team for putting these together for us.